Shalom. Before I begin this video, all praise, honor, and glory goes into Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, GMS, who rule well and teach well from the elder apostles to Har on down. They taught us this truth, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops, along with you brothers who are laboring all throughout the four winds of the earth. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash. Baraka Thumb. To you brothers, man, Shalom, to the elect of the nation of Israel. And the title of this lesson to the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai is, you would have to be crazy to think that this place, right, Babylon the Great, is going to stand for much longer. Because, like the scriptures speak on, the city of confusion is broken down. Babylon the Great, aka America, this place so damn through. Alright, growth is at a standstill. Debt at an all-time high. Alright, warfare. Okay. Ceasefire, no ceasefire. All right, economic, just turmoil. So I'm gonna play a couple of these different videos that showed up. They're only a couple minutes long, and then read through some of this article, and then get some precepts and Lord's will that's edifying. So I'm gonna just play this first one and then scroll down, but it says economic growth downgraded to 0.5% in the fourth quarter of 2025.
No ceasefire ever goes without a little bit of choppiness. What we have been very clear about is that we want to stop the bombing. We want our allies to stop the bombing, and we want the Iranians to do the same thing. We're seeing evidence that things are going in the right direction.
Those aren't made up headlines. That's actual real life. It's nothing but, fucking chaos. All right, so they estimated a certain amount of growth did not meet that goal, per usual, man. Because lately this they used to kind of deny it and say, we're having this much growth. They can't even deny it. They just telling the people what it is. Okay, yep, debt at all-time high. This place is getting worse. And people can see it.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte this week amid disagreements over the war in Iran. The president has threatened to leave NATO, but Rutte is saying something different.
Turn on our televisions or scroll on our phones, do we see eager early drafts of NATO's obituary. Let me be clear. This alliance is not whistling past the graveyard, as you would say in the United States.
Here to break it all down is the Hill's White House correspondent, Julia Manchester. Julia, thank you so much for joining us. Break this down for us. What does this meeting with Rutte at such a fragile time for the alliance mean? Reports indicate that President Trump is considering punishing NATO countries for not supporting the war in Iran.
Well, look, you just had to look at, I think, yesterday, Rutte's response and Trump's response after that meeting. The meeting lasted for roughly 2 hours. Ruda immediately headed to CNN and did not answer point blank whether the U.S. and NATO were still heading towards a divorce. Instead, you saw Ruda really, I think, trying to smooth things over, talking about how it was a frank and open discussion between friends at the end of the day. That was very contrasting with President Trump's statement after the meeting, which was on Truth Social, in which the president just continued to attack NATO, and he sent another Truth Social post earlier today attacking NATO as well. So clearly, I don't think this meeting went maybe the way NATO wanted it to go, and I think there's a lot of unknowns in terms of what happens next.
Julia, Ruda told CNN that diplomacy could create a, quote, North Korea moment where they talk so long that Iran would get a nuclear weapon, and calls it a big risk for Europe. He does seem generally supportive of President Trump's actions in Iran. Could he persuade the rest of NATO to then get on board?
I think that's going to be a very difficult task. I think the rest of NATO is very skeptical about, this war and sort of how the U.S. has gone about it. If Ruda is able to convince the rest of NATO to get on board, and that's still going to be an uphill climb, I think it's going to have to do with the Strait of Hormuz itself. Here's where President Trump has leverage. Even though Americans have been dealing with higher oil and energy prices as a result of this war, the U.S. does not rely on the Strait of Hormuz for its energy, for its oil. We have our own reserves. We get it elsewhere. However, in Europe and the United Kingdom, for example, they are relying on the Strait of Hormuz. And it's not just NATO, I should add. I asked President Trump about NATO during a press conference earlier this week, and he essentially told me it's not just NATO. He lashed out against Japan, Australia, South Korea over their reluctance to get involved in this war to help the United States. It's interesting, I think, looking at the United Kingdom, though, they've taken an interesting approach. They've offered to help after the conflict is over, whereas you've seen, I think, Spain take a much more aggressive pushback approach to President Trump, not allowing the U.S. to use certain bases or airspaces, for example. So it's going to be an uphill climb, I think, for Mark Ruda if he's going to go to these individual nations, which are within NATO, not all of them are in NATO, to convince them to get on board with the president.
Julia, as you know, Ruda will be here in Washington for the rest of the week. What can we expect from the rest of his visit? Will he meet with officials again?
I don't cover Mark Ruda directly, so I'm not, very much aware of the rest of his visit. However, I think he will certainly be rubbing elbows, meeting with, power brokers in Washington, who could very much have influence on what's happening going forward. I would imagine that lawmakers will be top of mind as well, so we'll have to see what happens.
The Hill's Julia Manchester, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
They were speaking on NATO's, she said NATO's divorce. Which, the scriptures say that the beast shall hate the whore. So it's prophesied for, NATO to turn against Babylon the Great, aka America. And it's obvious. You can see the breaking down of this place in real time, because that NATO, that NATO alliance has been so strong, for all these years, and now, it seems like in a matter of moments. All it takes is a handful of things in order to kind of make this shake up. In order to shake this place up. It only takes a little bit. See, because this place was already through as hell. But its throughness is throughness. The throughness is increasing. To the point where now, the beast is hating the whore. Alright, because even before the beast was hating the whore, you know, like that, this place was already through. But with the beast now getting frustrated and going against the whore, that just goes to show just how through this place is. Alright, this a whole nother level of throughness for Babylon the Great, aka America. Because they constantly say that they don't need they don't need NATO. They don't need, like when a woman said, I don't need this, I don't need that. Here it is. NATO has been a guard dog, for the longest. NATO and America, have been hand in hand. Now, all of a sudden, there's a anger and there's a tension among these nations. There's an anger, a deep-seated hatred. All right, NATO has a hatred for Babylon the Great now. Looking at him like, nigga, who are you? Which is beautiful, man, because we didn't, prior to being into the truth, when we were just in the world, we didn't know that, NATO was going to turn on Babylon the Great. Now we got the inside scoop. Now we know for a fact, okay, that this is going to take place. The beast is going to hate the whore. It's not like, the beast might hate the whore. It's a possibility. No, the beast shall hate the whore. And everybody can see all the numbers and how this place is just crumbling. It says the new report comes as economic anxiety rises and the market staggers amid Slovakia. The Trump administration's ongoing military efforts against Iran. A 2-week fragile ceasefire deal announced on Tuesday evening temporarily calmed global energy markets. So that was it's very short. It's a very short amount of time. They opened it, then they closed it, which, once again, the water, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, for closing that straight. Now they're saying that they'll only let a handful of tankers in, or let a handful of tankers through. They're also talking about a toll, having to pay a toll. So, this is only going to continue to get worse. It ain't getting no better for this place. Right now it's talking about, just the prices or whatever the case is. So I'm going to go ahead and get some precepts. All right, so this is the book of Revelation, chapter 17, and verse 4. I'm going to start at 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So the Lord is going to save his elect. All right, the Lord is going to save his elect. So when we have all-out warfare, anarchy, chaos, the Lord is going to preserve his men, women, and children, which is the elect of the nation of Israel. It says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth. All right, the whore is Babylon the Great, aka America. All right, where the whore sitteth are peoples, in multitudes and nations and tongues. This nigga everywhere. Doing everything, man. Literally like a whore. Like a whore cannot just sit still. You know, sit your ass down somewhere. No, a whore is a gatherer abroad. She here, she there, she, you know, up, down, left, right. You can catch her everywhere. Like one of them chicks, you know, she at every single function. She doing everything. She had all the spots. You know? It says, "Are people's multitudes in nations and tongues." And you know, a whore is also very resourceful. You know, due to the fact that she's interacted with a lot of men. So she just thinks, you know, she thinks that she, you know, has a way of control when it comes to people and can manipulate. See, that's America, aka Babylon the Great. Manipulative, evil, wicked, you know, mysterious. Because you don't know what a whore is up to. You have no idea. You think she over here, you think she over here, she over there. You think she over there, she over here. You know, unpredictable, dangerous, proud. Right, that's Babylon the Great, aka America. It says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore." Right, so NATO and the EU is going to hate the whore, aka America. "And shall make her desolate and naked," yeah, exposed, put on Front Street, you know, bombarded, attacked. It shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So is this going to be an actual physical beast that's going to, you know, eat some physical woman? No. This is going into warfare. You know, ultimately, them missiles, because all these other nations are going to fire intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles at America. For Yahweh Shem Yahshua have put in their hearts to fulfill his will. So this ain't their idea. Ultimately, they just doing what the Lord is making them do. They're forced to do this. The Lord is forcing their hand. It says, "and to agree." Yeah, so they all agree in one accord. Yeah, fuck America. Right? they all on the same page. Yeah, man, let's go ahead and you know, let's tune this place up. That's what they thinking about constantly. Because they may not agree on, you know, certain things, whatever. Right? They may not agree on, okay, this is how I want, you know, this is how I want my land ran. Okay, this is how I want my land ran. Right? They may be on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to certain things. Yet when it comes to this, when it comes to the destruction of Babylon the Great, they right on the money. They seeing eye to eye. And all the things that they weren't agreeing on, now they starting to agree on. Because they realize, shit, in order for us to be on a certain level and go against this whore, we got to come together. That's why you're seeing NATO and the EU, you know, strengthening themselves up and preparing themselves. All right? Like when a woman prepares to leave a man, you know, she start packing shit. You know, in anticipation of that day. And see, this woman, right, this whore, Salakia, not woman, whore. This whore gonna pack her shit up and she ain't gonna be able to leave, man. She gonna get X'd out. the Wadi Abba Shem Yahushai. You're not leaving. And then, Babylon the Great, aka America, has caused all this confusion, hell, pain, suffering. And you think you just gonna lead the charge into the new world order and just keep all the nations heaped under you and just continue forever? You out your damn mind, man. That's why, you'd have to be delusional to think this place is going to continue to function. It says, Revelation 17:17, for Yahweh Shem Yahushai have put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushai shall be fulfilled. So, NATO, the EU, they going to think they up next. China gonna think they up next. Russia gonna think that they up next. Everybody thinks they up next to rule. And ultimately, the Lord is coming back. He's gonna rule. He's gonna give the ability and the right and the promise of rulership. He's gonna give that to the Israelites, more specifically the elect of the nation of Israel. Revelation 17:18. And the woman, that whore, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which is America. America is a giant city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Yeah, because the international banking elite, which are headquartered here, specifically, New York City, they running the whole show economically. The international banking elite, the top cream of the crop of Esau, Edom. Right, this is where they're running the show from. And see, this whore thinks that she gonna be able to just, sail off into the sunset. She think she gonna cause all this havoc and destruction and mayhem, and pack up her shit and leave. No, you about to get dealt with. You've been handling everybody else bad. You've been handling everybody else horrible. And now all of a sudden, you want mercy and you want, people to look at you like you, like you're just this delicate, precious, little dainty, a princess. You a whore. You are a hoe. And that's why, the women here, you're just segueing into that through the spirit. That's why the women here, they believe that they are innocent, even though they're whores. Right? Because that's how America is. America is a big hoe. Spreading different all kinds of philosophies. Just like, once again, with these women, you could just walk around Babylon with a clipboard and walk up to a woman and just ask her in 2 sentences, what is your philosophy on life? They gonna say all types of crazy shit. They gonna say everything's love who you want to love. What else they gonna say? Freedom. Be free. Be yourself. Right? All characteristics of a whore. No modesty. No shame. Right? Because Babylon the Great don't got no shame. They just do shit. Right? Which, once again, Esau, Edom. Right? Starting off with the international banking elite. They use Babylon the Great as a hammer of the earth. bashing everybody in the head. All right? And ultimately, they're going to be bashed in the head, but they're going to be bashed in the head with something that they ain't going to be able to come back from. Intercontinental nuclear ballistic missiles, man. You ain't getting out of that. That ain't some shit you're getting out of, and it speaks about that here. You know, it speaks about the destruction of Babylon the Great. Revelation 18 and 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. So this place, it has an end. This place has an eventual end. And all these different indicators are showing all roads lead to the C-Hip, WW3, warfare, pestilence, chaos, anarchy, violence in the streets. Revelation 18:23. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Yeah, and through this buying and selling and commerce has this place been deceived, man. This whole, all the nations done got tricked. And they were so used to buying and selling and things being all good and making all this money and being rich. It's completely blocked, you know, their ability to see. And now that the money's getting shaky, now that certain things are getting shaken up, okay, the beast is hating the whore. This once good, you know, relationship is gone sour, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. That the water, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, for continuing to show us this. It's not like, you know, it's not like things just bounce back to normal. No, the Lord has showed us that not only are things getting worse, they're going to continue to get worse. You know, the Scopeo. You know, the Lord's got this place in his sights, man. Like how a sniper got his target in his sight. And you know, he's waiting to get that go-ahead to engage. And this place is on the chopping block. It ain't got that much longer. And we get to actively see that on the daily. We get to see this place fucking tank. And we know that this is going to end in this place, Babylon the Great, aka America, being destroyed by all these other nations, man. Which include, cause see, NATO. It ain't gonna matter. NATO, China, Russia, Pakistan. All the missiles, all the arrows. Scriptures speak about spare her no arrows. So everybody finna be getting their licks in, man. It's gonna be a couple places we ain't even know we're nuclear capable. They gonna bring them out, man. You know, bring all the missiles out, bring all the arrows out, man. You know, and Lord's will, we're gonna be seeing that and seeing this place get destroyed from that salvation chariot. You know, looking down on this place. Revelation 15, and I'll start at 1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast. Yeah, so there's going to be a victory over this beast. It's not like, America, aka Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed, and then here come NATO, and then we got to go into captivity under NATO. Oh, hell no. Hell to the no. That ain't happening. Then after that, China come in, fucking, put us into captivity. No, man. All right, our captivity has been accomplished. All right, this is the last captivity. We ain't going into another captivity, man. This is it. Because if they could, that's what they do. They just, take the Israelites, put them in captivity again. Nah, man, we getting freed. Lord's will, we be of the elect. Revelation 15 and 1, continuing down, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast. Yeah, so seeing this place getting destroyed and getting the victory over the beast, man, you can't beat that. Right, it says, and over his image. Right, and the lifestyle and the way that people worship, the beast. Because it speaks about the worshiping of the image of the beast. Right, partaking in that lifestyle. Because it's a whole lifestyle, man. It's a whole lifestyle. Like when you take that C-hip and you become part of Esau's, actual, structure, when you become a pawn, if you will, when you fully become that slave, man, you're through. As soon as you take that C-hip, you out of here. There's no bouncing back. Ain't no bouncing back from that. Revelation 15 and 2, it says, in them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark, right? So the MOTB, the elect, is going to defeat the MOTB by not taking it, right? And over his mark and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, being in that salvation chariot. Looking down on this place, it's going to look like a big ass fire. Like when you take which, brothers might have done this before. If you take some isopropyl alcohol and you put it on a glass table and you light it, you can see the flames bouncing off. It's beautiful. Like seeing this place actually get destroyed is going to actually be pretty beautiful, man. And we're going to be able to see that in those perfect bodies. So it's going to be twofold. Not only, seeing this place getting destroyed, but, seeing this place getting destroyed in a perfect body. That's going to be a treat, man. Surely there is a reward for the elect of the children of Israel getting to see that. Hearing the people, because, Lord's will, we get to hear it. We're going to have perfect ears, perfect eyes. So we're going to be able to zoom in. It's going to be beautiful, man. Slowly but surely, this place is crumbling. And it's a lot faster than these people know. It seems like it's slow, but it's actually really rapid. This place is deteriorating rapidly. We're going to continue to stand by and be watchmen. Watching this place crumble, man. From the strong tower, which is the name of the Lord, the name and the doctrine and the lifestyle, right, that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua wants us to live. That's why we have the laws, statutes, and commandments to guide us, to move us forward, to strengthen us. Okay, in these times when everything else is getting weak, everybody else getting weak, 401k crumbling, divorces, right, violence, People just bugging out. We can depend on Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. As long as we call upon the Lord, okay, do right through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, follow the Lord. The Lord is going to continue to reward us with, this safety, protection, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that comes from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And it's taught, from the elder apostles of Great Millstone on down, man, which, we're very thankful for. In the video, this precept, Isaiah 30 and 20, and though the Lord give you the bread of adversity, right? So we go through all types of shit, in the water of affliction, catching hell on the daily. Yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. So we have those perfect examples through the Spirit, from the elder apostle Har on down. We have those examples, to look at. It's not like we're just scrambling around in the dark and saying, okay, what's an example of how to live? No, we have teachers. We have our examples. The elder apostles of Great Millstone on down, right? To which we give double honors. Okay. So with that, Lord's will, you were edified. Call halal, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles once again. Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well and taught us his truth, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops, along with you brothers laboring all throughout the four winds of the earth. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Barak Atham. And to you brothers, man. And this place out of here is through. We're going to continue to chant this place down through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Brothers constantly going in. The Lord is doing a number on this place, man. We catching hell. Yeah, we catch hell. It's not to be overlooked. Yet it's an indicator that the Lord is dealing with you. Because we could just be a fresh and fly 2/3 nigga. You got 2/3 of Israel that think they're going to get away with everything that they doing and living it up, and just riding off into the sunset. All right, no, the elect of the nation of Israel are going to take the hard way, man. Okay, and we're going to spiritually fight our way out of this, and through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, hold down our position, waiting for the Lord to come, man. All right, we understand and we know that it's the Lord coming back that's going to put us, in the position to be saved. We know that, we ultimately can't save ourselves, so we waiting on Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And we have our teachers to show us the way, all the way up until that point. Lord's will, we be of the elect. So Kwam Yasharallah and Abba Baba. Shalom.